So you've played with all the gadgets, auditioned their presets, maybe you've thrown some ideas together or even created a track. Maybe you're starting to hear that gadget sound permeating throughout your work that just screams presets. Either way, it's time to start over, rethink how we work with Gadget to get the most from this little box of tricks, and above all, to stand out from the crowd with our own unique sound. Now, I'm not saying we need to abandon presets entirely, we just need to use them sparingly and with consideration for how they affect our overall sound. So let's start by going back to basics with the foundation of a track, and since we're talking about dance music here, that would be the drums. Gadget currently has 7 drum module gadgets. I've got them all loaded here, so let's take a look. Actually, let's look at them in the context of the Gadget browser, with drum type selected. Now, I should note that just 2 of these drum gadgets are capable of importing samples, Bilbao and Abu Dhabi. I'll get back to why that's important in a bit, but first, let's see what's on offer. First up, London, which is a pretty standard PCM sample-based module. Its big brother is Recife, named after the Brazilian city, so I guess it should really be pronounced Recife. Anyway, Recife is also a PCM sample-based module, but has more pads and more control over each sample than London. Next, we have Tokyo, an analog-style module that seems to be styled more along the lines of a Eurorack modular. With just 4 sounds or modules, it's pretty basic, but useful nonetheless. Gladstone is an acoustic kit module with 10 pads and a really nice collection of acoustic drums. I especially like the cymbals. It's a bit of a reach calling Amsterdam a drum module, since it's really just a sound effects box. Actually, Korg call it a PCM SFX boombox, which, to be fair, is accurate. It's great for all those swooshy, crashy sounds that we use for builds and transitions in dance music, so definitely useful as long as it's not overused. Abu Dhabi is another gadget that's not strictly a drum module. It's actually a loop slicer, but we can definitely use it for drums, and drum loops of course. Lastly, we have Bilbao, which is a sample player gadget. Actually, according to Korg, a lightning sample player. Sounds dangerous. Bilbao is probably the most useful gadget in our arsenal, since it allows us to import drum samples, actually any samples, tweak them and play them back, at lightning speed apparently. So why is that important? Well, without the ability to import our own samples, it would be pretty nigh impossible to be unique in this space, since all gadgeteers would only have access to the same set of sounds. And I'm only really talking about in the context of dance music here. Your mileage may vary with other genres. Now, the trick is not to use just one of these gadgets for our drum track, but a combination. Try to stick with the more basic, generic sounds and use your own samples with sample import gadgets like Bilbao for the fancy stuff. Remember, even though these presets sound great, they've probably already been featured in more than a handful of tracks on Gadget Cloud. So with that in mind, let's see what we can do with these gadgets in the next video.